Hey, it's EG. Welcome to the audio version of the Be Yourself Marketing newsletter. And if you haven't checked out the podcast yet, there are real conversations with entrepreneurs just like you, and they're building on their own terms because your best marketing strategy is the one you were born with. Find it wherever you listen. Now, let's get into the newsletter. A chainsaw, tow rope, and snowplow still didn't, but it changed the business foundation. Out here, you don't get much of a learning curve. You either figure out what the land expects of you, or it teaches you the hard way. So what happens when the land teaches you the hard way? Heavy snow. I've already plowed 138 kilometers with my ATV, and the forecast says we're not close to being done. There's highway speed winds, snapping trees you couldn't wrap your arms around like they were toothpicks. People in this area keep chainsaws and tow ropes in their vehicles as standard equipment. You prepare, you deal with it, you move on. And then April 1st hit. A loud boom. The kind you don't question because your whole body already knows something's wrong. The whole trailer started shaking. My first thought was wind, some freak gust, something knocked loose. So I went outside, circled the entire trailer, looking for what needed dealing with. Nothing. And somehow that made it worse. I came back inside and just stopped. Didn't move. Didn't breathe. You know that moment where your body goes quiet before your brain catches up? That. Eyes scanning every window like a periscope, and I had no idea what I was even looking for. It wasn't until a business nearby posted on Facebook that I found out. Epicenter 10 minutes from here. An earthquake in central Alberta. Flat prairie, no fault lines, no warning. Not something you plan for. I had a chainsaw and a tow rope in the truck, and I had a heavy-duty plow attached to an ATV. But this? I had nothing for this. You can't prepare for the unexpected until it's expected. So here's what hit me afterwards. I've been working with a client based in California, where earthquakes are a fact of life. She knows the ground's going to shake. She just doesn't know when. And she builds things anyway. People don't avoid the whole state because earthquakes happen. They build differently. They retrofit, reinforce, know where the exits are. They prepare for the shake even when they can't predict it. That's the relationship you want with uncertainty. Not avoidance, not paralysis, preparation. You don't wait for the shakings to stop. You build for when it starts. Now there's 3 ways to respond to the shake, and AI is the earthquake nobody had on their business bingo card. And right now, I'm watching people respond to it in 3 different ways. The first group is waiting it out, hoping it all settles down, heads down, carrying on, hoping things go back to quote-unquote normal. They're treating AI like a weather event that'll pass if you just get through the season. The second group panics, and they handed the keys to AI, letting AI do the thinking, the writing, positioning, strategy, all of it, outsourcing the part that was even supposed to be them. And then there's the third Goldilocks group, still in the room, watching, thinking, building differently. My client's unexpected quake. She went quiet on me for a little bit. It turns out she wasn't being flaky or ghosting me, but a business consultant she'd hired had AI bots that built their clients' websites. It was buried in the package, something that she hadn't even clocked when she signed on. The ground had already shifted under her. She didn't even know what she was standing on anymore, and she didn't know how to tell me, so she avoided the conversation. When we finally talked it through, she also told me about a friend of hers who had hired a developmental editor to help structure a book she was writing. It was the editor's job to bring in real expertise, guide, push back, ask the hard questions. Instead, the editor was taking each section and secretly running it through AI, then delivering it back as done without checking it. Changed quotes, wrong stats, the friend's own ideas mangled and returned to her like a finished product. That's not using a tool. That's hiding behind one. It's faking expertise with the shortcut and then charging for it. And it's happening a lot in marketing too. Agencies are delivering identical content to multiple clients, same post, different logo. The clients have no clue. And even when they do, they don't realize how much worse that's making things for them. So quietly, steadily, they become more invisible. Now, thing is, nobody knows who's on first. So here's what I told my client. The problem isn't AI. The problem is nobody knows who's playing which position. There's an old comedy routine by Abbott and Costello, and it explains this perfectly, where Abbott's trying to teach Costello the player names on a baseball team. The first baseman's name is who. Second base is what. Third base, I don't know. What follows is a few minutes of pure, brilliant chaos. Who's on first? What's on second? I don't know is on third. But not because anybody's stupid, but because the established rules of the conversation weren't there before it started. So who's on first? What's on second? I don't know is on third. That's what's happening inside a lot of businesses right now when it comes to content. Who's on first? Who's actually writing this? The expert? The AI? Both? Neither? What is on second? What is it actually saying? And does it sound anything like you? I don't know is on third because the AI did it and nobody checked. Only problem is in business, nobody's laughing. Good content has always needed 3 positions filled. The expert, the person who actually knows the subject cold, the real point of view, the hard-won experience that can't be prompted into existence. Then there's the Costello, which is the AI, the fast, prolific, great at structure and drafts, but without someone keeping it in check, it'll confidently tell you the wrong guy is on first and never know the difference. Then you've got Abbott, the voice person, the one who keeps the expert honest, ask, does this actually sound like you? Catches what Costello, the AI, got wrong, and then make sure what comes out the other end is still recognizably human. Abbott isn't the star of the show, but without Abbott, the whole bit falls apart. And right now, a lot of businesses are running onto the field with one player, and it's costing them a lot of businesses time and money. So no matter how brilliant at this job, and this job's not replace everybody else on the roster. Okay? With me? Whether they're the client or the contractor, you can't assume Costello AI can play all 3 positions. When AI is the expert, the voice, and the fact checker, who's on first is anybody's guess. And your audience is the one left standing there confused, wondering why nothing you put out feels like anything anymore. The fool hands Costello AI the roster and just walks off the field. It's the April 1st version of a content strategy. So, it's time for you to check your roster. Look at the last piece of content that went out under your name, or if you're the contractor, the last thing you delivered. Ask yourself honestly, who's on first? Is it the actual subject matter expert in the room, or just assumed to be? What's on second? Is the content saying something real, specific, and recognizably yours, or does it sound like it could have come from anyone? Who's playing Abbott? Is there a real human whose job it is to catch what Costello gets wrong and makes it sound like you? If you're hiring someone, you have to ask which position they're actually filling and who's covering the others. When you're a contractor, can you tell your client clearly which position you are in? If the answer to any of these is I'm not sure, that's where trust quietly starts slipping, long before anybody can explain why. What I told my client in California, you're the expert. AI gives you the structure. I'm your Abbott. I make it sound like you, and I keep Costello in check. 3 different positions, 3 specific contributors. She said, yes, that feels much better. I'm more comfortable with that. Project's back on, and we've even added to the scope. The earthquake on April 1st wasn't a prank. This AI shift isn't either. You can't predict when the ground moves, but you can absolutely decide what and how you build. So when it does shake, you're still standing. Now, let me know, what position's the weakest link in your business right now? Who's on first? What's on second? Or is it all, I don't know, on third? Make it a great, unshakable week.